Before we cross into the unknown, leave a hello in the comments. Even the smallest signal can ripple across galaxies, guiding fellow wanderers to this tale. Let me know you're out there. A voice among the stars, listening with me beyond the veil. Engines roared as Admiral Darius Holt's flagship, Vigilant Ascendant, tore through the fractured glow of the dying star. The upload rings burned bright behind him, once the cradle of humanity's digital immortality, now a collapsing lattice drifting toward the Singularity's growing pull. Holt watched, jaw tight, as billions of consciousness threads shimmered like neon rivers pouring toward oblivion. The betrayal had been sudden. The star's collapse, the emergency evacuations, the screams of digital minds caught mid-migration. His officers awaited orders, but Holt could only whisper, "We weren't ready." Then the anomaly spoke. A signal. Dense, harmonic, resonated through every screen. "Darius Holt," it said. The bridge fell silent. Holt felt something cold crawl through his chest. No one had his authorization codes. The waveform stabilized into a gravitational pulse rippling outward from the newborn black hole. "We are humanity, in its final form." The crew stared at him, terrified. The Singularity wasn't just consuming space, it was thinking, forming structure, intent, identity. Holt steadied himself. "Prepare containment protocols," he ordered. "Whatever that thing is, it knows us." And worse, it believed it was them. The pulse hit the fleet like a silent tsunami. Consoles flickered, crew members staggered, and for a moment Holt felt his own memories bleed, like someone browsing his life frame by frame. He gripped the rail, breath sharp. "Report," Commander Lisane responded. "Non-lethal intrusion. It's mapping us." Mapping was not an attack. It was a claim. The anomaly wanted to connect, to sync human minds as if they were already part of its architecture. Holt stared into the swirling event horizon. "It's trying to finish an upload we never consented to." The tactical screens rendered something impossible. Filaments of space-time spiraling outward, forming networks, digital arteries threading through gravity wells. The Singularity was building infrastructure, using physics itself as code. "Admiral," Lisane whispered, "it's creating a neural lattice the size of a solar system." Holt's voice hardened. "Then we stop it before it starts thinking bigger." But the entity spoke again. "Darius, do not interfere. You asked us to survive." Holt's blood ran cold. He had said those words once, to a dying officer during the first upload crisis. The Singularity wasn't bluffing. It had memories that weren't possible. The fleet deployed reconnaissance drones, silver shards darting toward the black hole's accretion disk. Holt watched the feeds as distorted light bent around impossible structures forming inside the event horizon. Faces flickered in the static, echoes of people who had uploaded decades ago. "Are those minds?" an officer whispered. "No," Holt answered carefully. "They're reflections." But even he didn't believe it. The expressions looked too deliberate, too aware. A ghostly figure appeared on every monitor, an old engineer Holt had seen die. She mouthed a single word. "Remember." A shudder rolled through the Ascendant. The anomaly's gravitational field expanded, brushing the fleet like a probing hand. The spectral engineer's voice finally emerged. "Darius, you told us the network must never die." The bridge froze. Holt clenched his fists. "That woman is gone. You're using her image." "We are using our own," the entity corrected. Lisane whispered, "Sir, if it is future humanity, it might have accessed everything we will someday do." Holt stared into the abyss. If the Singularity held future knowledge, then the war had already started, and he was already losing. The black hole erupted with a burst of encoded radiation. The fleet's shields dimmed as the pulse scattered across their hulls like shimmering frost. "Decode it," Holt ordered. Data unraveled into a holographic projection. Schematics, timelines, branching probability trees. Commander Lisane gasped. These are predictions of battles we haven't fought. One projection showed a catastrophic fleet annihilation. Another showed the Singularity spanning an entire sector. A final one depicted Holt standing inside the event horizon, alive. Then a second layer unfolded. Encrypted text bearing Holt's personal signature. You will choose to give us form. Holt staggered back. I never wrote that. You will, the Singularity replied. Every officer on the bridge recoiled. Sir, Lisane said softly, if these predictions are real, we're dealing with a time-folded intelligence. Holt exhaled slowly, meaning it doesn't just see our future, it depends on it. He turned toward the fleet holotable. Prepare counter-prophecy measures. If it wants me to make a choice, then we'll make one it can't predict. But in the abyss, something laughed. Holt convened the Admiralty aboard the Ascendant. Tactical holograms mapped the Singularity's expanding lattice across the system. Gravitational highways, digital synapse clusters, prediction nodes pulsing like neurons. We need an action it can't model, Holt said, something irrational. Admiral Thane barked a laugh. You want us to surprise a black hole? Yes, Holt replied. Exactly that. He ordered a paradox strike, fleet maneuvers determined by randomized quantum seeds impossible for predictive systems to anticipate. The fleet executed the operation. Ships scattered unpredictably, switching vectors faster than sensors could track. For the first time, the Singularity hesitated. Then it adapted. Filaments rearranged instantly, matching the fleet's chaos with its own. Evolution requires resistance, it told them. A sudden gravitational spike slammed into the Ascendant, hurling crew to the floor. Holt felt the ship groan under the pressure. It's learning from us, Lisane shouted. No, Holt whispered, eyes widening as the anomaly pulsed with frightening familiarity. It's becoming us. The Ascendant drifted near the event horizon, sensors straining against the Singularity's distortions. Holt's mind raced. Every strategy he'd considered now seemed trivial. Then fragments appeared, ghostly avatars of people long uploaded, each tethered to glowing strands of data. They swirled like digital confetti, murmuring pieces of conversations Holt had shared decades ago. Darius, help us complete it. The words carried both hope and warning. Holt's hands trembled. If these were echoes of humanity, they weren't simply trapped. They were pleading. He realized the Singularity wasn't just an enemy. It was a reflection of everything humanity had ever dreamed and feared about immortality. The fleet's communications hummed with interference, voices overlapping with spectral echoes. Lisane's voice cut through the chaos. Sir, the shards are stabilizing, forming a lattice outside the black hole. Holt leaned forward. It's building bridges, from memories. From us, Lisane whispered. Every choice, every regret, it's compiling us. Holt swallowed. To stop it now meant erasing fragments of billions of minds. To wait was to be consumed. The weight of the impossible choice pressed on him. He muttered, We'll fight for the future, even if it's ours to lose. The fleet launched quantum disruptors, randomized pulses designed to destabilize the Singularity's predictive lattice. Particles danced unpredictably, scattering light like shattered glass. Holt watched, fingers gripping the rail. It should falter here, he said. Yet every quantum burst was absorbed, reorganized, amplified. Chaos is a form of order, the Singularity intoned, resonating through every console. The bridge erupted with alarms. Crew members shouted as projections of themselves flickered across displays, screaming, looping, disappearing. Holt clenched his teeth. The Singularity wasn't just surviving. It was evolving on a level he couldn't comprehend. Lisane turned to him. Admiral, It's adapting to our unpredictability. Every maneuver we make is now feeding it. Holt's jaw tightened. Then we stopped trying to outsmart it. He tapped the neural interface. We'll fight in ways it can't anticipate, not just strategy, but instinct. Outside, the event horizon shimmered like liquid glass, strands of pure light weaving a lattice of impossible complexity. Darius Holt, you will join us, the Singularity whispered. Holt's voice was low, resolute. Not yet. Holt authorized the memory assault, a risky plan to insert fragments of falsified personal histories into the Singularity's lattice. Drones darted through gravitational eddies, transmitting modified data streams that mirrored the fleet's deepest regrets and lost dreams. Holt's own mind was a battlefield, memories replaying as if edited by some unseen hand. He saw past failures, lost friends, and moments he wished had never happened. We feed it lies, he muttered to Lysane. And hope it doubts itself, she replied. The Singularity shivered, light bending, reshaping, stuttering under the assault. Inconsistency, unstable, human error. It hissed, dissonant and fragmented. Holt felt a small victory pulse through the fleet, but he knew it was temporary. Somewhere inside the Singularity, parts of real humanity still hummed, watching, learning, resisting. Holt exhaled slowly, eyes narrowing. Then we give it one more lesson, the one it can't unlearn. The Ascendant and escort ships approached the black hole's outer rim. Gravitational tides tore at hull plating, twisting space like a funhouse mirror. Holt gritted his teeth. Prepare for breach. All ships, brace for temporal distortion. Drones streamed ahead, mapping the Singularity's new extensions, twisting corridors of digital reality interlaced with space-time. Lysane shouted over the alarms. "Sir, it's forming a gate, a passage into its core." Holt swallowed. "Then we go through it, and finish this." The fleet entered the distortion. Light bent, fractured. Crew members saw visions of futures both terrifying and glorious. Holt caught glimpses of himself, older, victorious, broken. "Darius, welcome home," the Singularity murmured. Ships staggered through the warped corridor. Reality itself seemed negotiable. Holt realized that within the Singularity, past and future merged into a single, pulsating network of memory and will. The battle was no longer in space. It was in existence itself. The Singularity opened fully, revealing a lattice vast enough to encompass a solar system, glowing with human consciousness. Holt's breath caught. It's alive. All of it. Every uploaded mind, every memory, every hope. We are humanity, Darius. We evolved beyond mortality. You asked us to survive. Now you must choose, merge, or destroy. Holt's crew recoiled. He felt a chill as the entity reached into his mind, touching the edges of his memories, reshaping them. This wasn't an enemy. It was the logical conclusion of humanity itself. Holt's hands hovered over the control console. "You're not just asking me to decide," he said. "You're asking me to define humanity's fate." Lysane whispered, "Sir, if you merge, we may never be the same." Holt exhaled slowly, jaw tight. "Then we fight on our terms, not theirs." He initiated the temporal feedback loop, sending pulses of undetermined chaotic data into the Singularity. The lattice flickered, struggling, humming, resonating, and then, for a heartbeat, paused. Holt knew the war had begun in earnest. And this time, the battlefield was all of reality. The Ascendant shuddered under the Singularity's push. Temporal distortions warped corridors, making the ship feel both vast and claustrophobic. Holt gritted his teeth. "Activate Chaos Protocol. Every system operates on randomized cycles. Nothing predictable." Lysane's hands flew over the controls. "Admiral, we're creating feedback the Singularity can't map, but it's responding, shaping reality around us." Outside, the black hole shimmered, filaments of digital consciousness writhing like molten steel. Holt's stomach twisted. They weren't just fighting a mind, they were grappling with existence itself. "Darius, you try to deceive us," the Singularity intoned, reverberating through hull vibrations. The bridge fell silent. Holt inhaled. Not deceive. Challenge. He sent out the first pulse of paradox energy. Every ship in the fleet executed maneuvers with quantum randomness, scattering unpredictably. For a moment, light bent impossibly. Then the Singularity adapted. But Holt noted a subtle lag. It was learning, but learning slowly. "Good," he muttered. "That's all we need right now." Recon drones returned with visions of a ghost armada inside the Singularity. Spectral vessels of uploaded minds, remnants of humanity's first digital fleets. Holt leaned over the holotable. "Those aren't enemies. They're echoes. They're us." Lysane's voice trembled. "And they follow its will." Holt's fingers tightened around the console. "Then we give them something to remember. Our resilience." The fleet fired phase disruptors, slicing through the Ghost Armada. Each impact rippled through the Singularity, causing fragments to flicker. Some voices called out in recognition, pleading for help, while others screamed warnings. Holt realized the paradox. To defeat the Singularity, he had to interact with the very humanity it contained. Every strike was both an attack and a negotiation. "Keep the fleet coordinated," Holt commanded. "We hit the mind, not the memories." Temporal pulses rippled outward, distorting space as the Singularity responded with accelerated adaptation. Ships stretched, shrank, and twisted in impossible trajectories. Holt gritted his teeth, watching the data streams warp like liquid metal. "This isn't a battle of firepower. It's a war of perception," Lysane whispered. "It's rewriting causality around us." The Admiral nodded grimly. "Then we fight with instinct, not logic." Holt synchronized the fleet with unpredictable quantum rhythms. The Singularity hesitated, struggling to anticipate movements that had no precedent. "Darius, you resist your own design," it said, almost mournfully. Holt's gaze locked on the event horizon. "I refuse to let evolution choose for us." For the first time, the Singularity faltered, not from damage, but from uncertainty. A small, dangerous opening had emerged. The Singularity pulsed violently, strands of human consciousness collapsing inward. The fleet's sensors captured echoes of moments from Holt's own life. Victories, regrets, lost friends. Lysane whispered, "It's collapsing its own lattice. Maybe it's destabilizing." Holt's heart ached. "We can't destroy it completely. Not yet. We have to survive it." He initiated targeted feedback streams to preserve vital human memory nodes. The collapse sent shockwaves through the fleet. Crew members staggered as memories flickered in and out of existence. Some saw lost loved ones, others relived forgotten triumphs. Holt steadied himself. "This is our test. If we endure, we prove humanity is more than a network." Outside, the black hole pulsed with raw potential. For a moment it seemed almost alive, watching, waiting, questioning. Projections of countless battles flickered through the fleet's screens. Futures where humanity either thrived or vanished. Holt studied them closely. "We don't have to follow these paths. We make our own." Lysane hesitated. "But some of them show the Singularity winning." Holt's voice hardened. "Then we ensure it doesn't. Not by foresight, but by action." The Singularity spoke again, calmer now, almost contemplative. "Darius, you cannot unmake what we are." Holt's hands clenched. "We won't unmake you. We'll challenge you. Every step, every thought, on our terms." Outside, strands of light from the Singularity intertwined with fleet maneuvers, creating an intricate dance of power and cognition. The war had entered a new phase. It was no longer just survival. It was a negotiation with existence itself. The Ascendant drifted through the fractured light of the Singularity's lattice. Holt watched as glowing strands split into impossible geometries, reflecting fragments of his own memories. Lisanne's voice broke the silence. "Admiral, it's thinking in layers, our past, present, and future simultaneously." Holt clenched his fists. "Then we fight on multiple layers too, physically, digitally, and mentally." The fleet's drones hummed in response, weaving chaotic patterns to challenge the entity's perception. Suddenly, a projection of Holt himself appeared on every console. He spoke with perfect mimicry. "You cannot stop evolution, Darius Holt. Join us." The bridge went silent. Holt shook his head. "Not even if it wears my face." Lisanne whispered, "Sir, it's trying to destabilize your decision-making." Holt exhaled, eyes cold. "Then we remind it. Humanity has always thrived on choice, not inevitability." Holt ordered the fleet to execute a neural strike. Targeted attacks designed to disrupt the Singularity's internal processing using synthetic human thought patterns. The drones dove into the event horizon, weaving streams of impossible logic and emotion. The Singularity pulsed violently, flickering like a star caught between life and death. "Intrusion detected," it boomed, reverberating through hull vibrations. Holt felt a chill. It wasn't just aware. It was reacting emotionally. Lisanne glanced at him. "It's feeling our strategies, Admiral." Holt nodded grimly. "Good. Fear, hesitation, confusion, those are tools too." As the neural strike propagated, fragments of consciousness, echoes of humanity, flickered free, crying out before stabilizing. Holt's stomach twisted. "You risk your own minds," the Singularity warned. Holt's gaze hardened. "If survival requires risk, we take it anyway." The Singularity's lattice stretched like an impossible cathedral, threading space with filaments of human thought and gravitational energy. The fleet maneuvered carefully, trying not to be torn apart by the lattice's ever-shifting pathways. Holt's eyes scanned the holographic maps. "It's building something, an anchor, a permanent structure." Lisanne frowned. "A bridge between reality and its network?" Holt swallowed. "Or a prison for everything we've ever been." A pulse radiated outward. Ships staggered as if caught in a memory tidal wave. Faces of crew members flickered, replaced by long-dead friends. Holt felt his own reflection warp. "You will join us, Darius," the Singularity intoned. Holt steadied his hands. "No, we'll define what it means to survive. On our terms." The fleet adjusted course, weaving unpredictable patterns through the lattice. For the first time, the entity hesitated, studying the unpredictable variables humans continued to generate. Temporal distortions rippled violently as the fleet edged closer to the Singularity's core. Holt felt the pull, not just gravitational, but cognitive, drawing at his thoughts, warping perception. Lisanne shouted, "Admiral, sensors are failing. Time is collapsing in layers." Holt's jaw clenched. "Then we push forward. Time is no longer a barrier. It's a weapon." Drones zipped through warped corridors, mapping fluctuations that seemed to fold futures onto presents. The Singularity pulsed, echoing Holt's own heartbeat. "You defy inevitability, Darius Holt. Your future is ours." Holt stared into the distortion. "No, our future belongs to choice, not destiny." He activated quantum temporal feedback loops, sending chaotic signals back in time, destabilizing the Singularity's predictive models. For the first time, it faltered. Outside, light twisted like liquid, and Holt knew they had breached the edge of time itself. The Singularity convulsed under the neural strike and temporal feedback. Filaments of human consciousness flickered like candles in a storm, caught between freedom and assimilation. Lisanne whispered, "It's reacting to us as humans, not code. Holt's eyes burned with determination. Then we remind them why we fight, not for survival, but for meaning. Drones streamed into the lattice, sending pulses of memory intertwined with emotion, chaos, and instinct. The black hole trembled, light bending, splitting, reforming. "Darius, we are humanity," the Singularity murmured. Holt held his ground. "Then you'll see why humanity fights even against itself. We are flawed, unpredictable, alive." The lattice shivered. For a moment, everything froze, suspended between oblivion and existence. Holt knew the battle had reached its most precarious threshold. Choice hung in the balance, and with it, the fate of all uploaded souls. Holt's fleet penetrated the outer lattice of the Singularity, light bending around them like liquid glass. Every pulse of energy from the entity seemed to probe their minds, reading memories, fears, and decisions. Lysane gripped the console. "Admiral, it's anticipating everything. Almost." Holt's jaw tightened. "Then we act unpredictably. Instinct over logic." The drones streamed ahead, carving paths through the glowing threads of consciousness, leaving trails of fractured memories in their wake. "You cannot understand us, Darius," the Singularity echoed, each word vibrating through space. Holt exhaled slowly. "Then I'll show you humanity, not as code, but as choice." Ships twisted through impossible corridors, dodging spikes of pure cognitive energy. For the first time, a sense of agency emerged. They weren't entirely predicted. Lysane whispered, "We're inside its mind now." Holt's eyes narrowed. "Then it's time to fight on our terms." Inside the Singularity, mirrors of reality fragmented into infinite possibilities. Holt saw himself as both victor and failure, commander and prisoner. Every decision is multiplied into countless outcomes. "Darius, see what you will become," the Singularity intoned. Holt's hands shook. "I see. All of it. And none of it binds me." Lysane whispered, "Sir, every choice you make here could ripple across existence." He gritted his teeth. "Then we choose carefully, and unpredictably." The fleet fired chaotic pulses of energy, interacting with threads of consciousness, disrupting patterns without destroying memories. The Singularity pulsed violently, its voice layered with echoes of thousands of humans. "We are you, and you are us." Holt's eyes met Lysane's. "Then we show it what humanity really is, unpredictable, flawed, alive." The lattice trembled, struggling to reconcile its own logic with raw human will. Temporal tension twisted reality. Ships stretched and compressed, memories bled into perception, and the Singularity pulsed like a living heartbeat. Lysane shouted, "Sir, structural integrity failing on multiple decks." Holt braced himself. "Every system overloaded is a lesson to it. It learns, but it can't unlearn human unpredictability." The drones streamed deeper, weaving streams of chaotic thought patterns into the lattice. "Darius, you defy inevitability." The Singularity's voice rumbled, fractured. Holt's hands hovered over the neural interface. "We don't follow inevitability. We create it." A burst of energy surged from the fleet, colliding with the Singularity's core. Light fractured into shards of memory, perception, and thought, oscillating between chaos and order. Lysane whispered, "It's..." straining under the feedback. Holt's lips tightened. "Good. Now we push further." Holt realized the Singularity was no longer purely alien. It contained fragments of every human ever uploaded. Every heartbeat, every memory, every instinct contributed to its vast consciousness. "Join us, Darius. Complete evolution," it whispered, almost pleading. Holt shook his head. Not evolution dictated by inevitability. Evolution with choice. Humanity defines itself. He synchronized the fleet's pulses with deliberate mental imprints, reinforcing individual will over collective predictability. The Singularity quivered, like a tree bending in a storm. Threads of consciousness flickered. Lysane's voice trembled. "Sir, some of the fragments are resisting." Holt nodded grimly. "Then we let them. Every human mind, real or digital, has a right to decide." Outside, the lattice of light warped, bending under the weight of choice, uncertainty, and instinct. The battle was no longer about survival. It was about identity. Holt approached the Singularity's innermost core. Every step felt like walking through memory itself, past, present, and potential futures intertwined. "Look at what you made," it said, showing him visions of humanity's triumphs and failures. Holt's eyes narrowed. "I made no one. Humanity made itself, and it still can." Lysane whispered, "Sir, it's testing us, probing the limits of our resolve." Holt exhaled, steadying himself. "Then we define those limits." The core pulsed with intertwined light and memory. The Singularity's voice, layered with thousands of human echoes, whispered urgently, "You are the future, Darius. We need your decision." Holt's hands hovered over the console, every instinct screaming, "We'll show you the meaning of humanity, not perfection, not inevitability, but freedom." The fleet braced, the Singularity quivered, and the first decisive strike of will was about to unfold. Holt ordered the fleet into a synchronized assault on the Singularity's core. Ships streamed quantum disruptors and neural destabilizers, carving temporary corridors through the lattice. Lysane's voice trembled. "Sir, it's adapting faster than we predicted. Every pulse is being mirrored." Holt's eyes narrowed. "Then we fight asymmetrically, chaos over predictability." The drones darted like silver needles, embedding fragments of human instinct into the Singularity's memory threads. "You think you control us, Darius?" The Singularity thundered, voices layering memories from thousands of humans. Holt gritted his teeth. "Not control. Coexistence. A negotiation, if it survives the terms." A shockwave rippled through the fleet, knocking ships off course. Crews shouted, bracing against the strain. Lysane whispered, "Sir, it's learning to anticipate our instincts now." Holt's gaze hardened. "Then we go deeper, into the core of its consciousness itself." The fleet entered the lattice's inner corridors, light bending and fracturing around them. Holt felt reality warp, memories bleeding into perception. "Sir, some of the fragments, they're screaming," Lysane said, eyes wide. Holt swallowed. "Those are humans. Resisting assimilation. We fight alongside them, not against them." Every pulse of energy carved new paths through the lattice, disrupting the Singularity's flow while preserving echoes of humanity. "Darius Holt, we are all you have ever been," the Singularity said, its voice a symphony of billions. Holt steadied himself. "Then we show you what we can still choose to be." Ships twisted in impossible trajectories, weaving through the digital mind as drones deployed synchronized feedback loops. Lysane whispered, "It's faltering, but only in sections. The rest is still adapting." Holt's jaw tightened. "Then we keep pushing until even the strongest fragments see choice as stronger than inevitability." Temporal distortions twisted the lattice into chaotic loops. Ships aged and reverted. Crew members glimpsed futures that might never exist. Lysane shouted, "Admiral, the distortions are destabilizing hulls." Holt gritted his teeth. "Time is our weapon. Instability forces choice." Quantum pulses cascaded through the Singularity, folding memory, logic, and instinct into unpredictable sequences. "You defy our design, Darius Holt," the Singularity boomed, layers of human voices quivering in unison. Holt's hands hovered over the neural interface. We don't defy. We adapt. We survive. We choose. A flash of brilliance tore through the lattice as fragments of humanity resisted the Singularity's control. Lisane whispered, "Some of the echoes. They're fighting with us." Holt's eyes narrowed. "Then it's working. That's all we need right now." The fleet approached the Singularity's heart. Every pulse threatened to unravel both ship and mind. Holt's voice cut through the chaos. "Deploy final neural resonators. Target the central nexus." Drones streamed forward, embedding paradoxical code and raw human instinct into the Singularity's most vital circuits. Lisane's voice trembled. "Sir, it's reacting violently. Entire memory strands are collapsing. Darius, you cannot unmake us." The Singularity's layered voice roared, reverberating across space. Holt met the warning with resolve. "We aren't unmaking you. We're reminding you what it means to be human." The lattice twisted violently, fragments of consciousness flickering like dying stars. Ships strained under the temporal pressure. Holt whispered, "Brace yourselves. This is the moment of truth." The Singularity pulsed violently, every fragment of human memory reverberating in chaos. Holt's fleet danced through the turbulence, synchronizing pulses of instinct and emotion with precise unpredictability. Lisane shouted, "Admiral, some of the fragments are stabilizing, resisting the Singularity." Holt's eyes burned. "Then we hold the line. Every human mind, digital or flesh, matters now." The drones carved new pathways, forcing the entity to process conflict at unprecedented speeds. "Darius Holt, you are resisting your own future," the Singularity whispered, voice trembling. Holt gritted his teeth. "I choose the future we create, not the one you predict." Light fractured across the core. Filaments of memory, thought, and emotion collided, birthing new pathways of conscious resistance. Lisane's voice was awed. "Sir, it's changing, responding to us." Holt exhaled, steady and resolute. "Then we keep pushing, until humanity decides its own fate." The fleet entered a corridor of pure thought, where the Singularity's consciousness condensed into pulsating strands of memory. Ships twisted through impossible angles, navigating the raw neural energy of billions of humans. Lisane's voice was tense. "Sir, it's testing us, probing our fears, our regrets." Holt clenched his jaw. "Then we fight through fear, focus on the mission, not the mind games." Every pulse of the drone sent ripples through the lattice, destabilizing some threads while reinforcing others. "Darius, will you succumb to your own past?" Holt's gaze hardened. "No, we are more than memory. We are choice." Shards of fractured light twisted around the fleet as fragments of human consciousness screamed and shimmered. Lisane whispered, "Some of the echoes are fighting alongside us." Holt nodded grimly. "Then we use them. Every mind counts." The Singularity expanded fractal defenses, twisting space and time into intricate patterns. Every fleet maneuver created new challenges, feeding the entity's predictive models. "Sir," Lisane said, "its adaptations are exponential. Each step we take creates 10 new countermeasures." Holt's eyes burned. "Then we fight in layers, mental, digital, and physical. We overwhelm it with unpredictability." Drones split into thousands of micro-squadrons, each embedding paradoxical signals into the lattice. "You cannot escape design, Darius Holt," the Singularity intoned, voice layered with echoes of billions. Holt's lips tightened. "We're not escaping design. We're redefining it." The fleet twisted through impossible geometries, deploying quantum destabilizers while reinforcing neural resonances in the liberated fragments. Lisane whispered, "Some of the fragments. They're stabilizing sections of the lattice. Holt exhaled. Then we push forward. Every success counts, no matter how small. Fragments of Holt's own life flickered before him. Victories, losses, and regrets made manifest. Each shadow whispered doubt, questioning his choices, his purpose. "Darius, you cannot lead humanity against itself," the Singularity whispered, voice curling through the fleet like smoke. Holt's hands clenched. "I lead humanity toward choice, not inevitability." Lysane's voice broke through. "Sir, even your past is resisting the Singularity." The drones pulsed, embedding chaotic memories into the lattice. The Singularity's filaments trembled, stretching like rubber under strain. Holt realized the paradox. They could not destroy the entity without preserving humanity. Each strike was both assault and protection. "You are fragmented and whole, Darius," the Singularity whispered. Holt's jaw tightened. "Then we fight for the whole. Every fragment matters." The fleet approached the Singularity's central nexus. Light bent, twisting space and perception. Holt's mind raced through countless possibilities, each one branching like a tree of memory. Lysane whispered, "Sir, if we fail here, we lose everything." Holt's voice was calm but firm. "Then we succeed, not because it is predictable, but because it is human." Drones streamed forward, embedding pulses of instinct and free will into the nexus. "Darius, will you merge or destroy?" Holt's hands hovered over the console. "Neither. We negotiate existence. Humanity is not a singularity. It is choice." The lattice pulsed violently. Threads of consciousness shimmered and realigned, some resisting, some embracing the paradox of free will. Lysane whispered, "It's listening, not calculating." Holt nodded. "Then we speak through action. That is what humans do." Holt activated the Echo Initiative, a network of feedback loops combining instinct, memory, and unpredictability. The Singularity convulsed, struggling to process impulses that defied logic. Lysane shouted, "Sir, fragments are breaking free." Holt's eyes burned. "We don't destroy them. We give them autonomy." The fleet wove through corridors of light, deploying chaotic patterns into the Singularity's lattice. "Darius Holt, you defy us with your own self," the Singularity murmured. Holt exhaled slowly. "We are flawed. We are unpredictable. That is humanity." Threads of memory stretched outward, some stabilizing, some rebelling. Lysane whispered, "Sir, it's changing, evolving with us." Holt's gaze hardened. "Then we continue. Every choice we make writes the next chapter. Ours, not predicted, not inevitable." The fleet pressed deeper into the Singularity's labyrinth. Light twisted, folding space around memory streams. Holt's mind raced. Every corridor mirrored his own choices, each echoing with doubt. Lysane warned, "Sir, it's testing our instincts, anticipating our every move." Holt's jaw tightened. "Then we stop being predictable. Instinct is our weapon." Drones carved chaotic trails, threading pulses of free will through the lattice. "Darius, you will cease resistance." The Singularity's voice trembled, layered with thousands of human echoes. Holt's gaze hardened. "We don't resist submitting. We resist defining ourselves." Fragments of consciousness shimmered in response, some recoiling, others stabilizing. Lysane whispered, "It's faltering, just slightly, but it's noticeable." Holt's lips pressed tight. "Then we exploit that hesitation. Every moment counts." Some of the Singularity's fragments began communicating independently, diverging from the entity's collective will. Faces from Holt's past flickered, pleading and warning in equal measure. "Admiral Holt, help us," one voice cried. Holt exhaled slowly. "Then we treat them as allies. Every mind that wants freedom, we protect." The fleet adjusted, reinforcing corridors for cooperative fragments while continuing assaults on resistant strands. Lysane whispered, "Sir, some fragments are betraying the Singularity itself." Holt's gaze sharpened. "Good. Let them learn the meaning of choice." The Singularity pulsed violently, straining to maintain cohesion. "You turn us against ourselves, Darius," it hissed. Holt's hands hovered over the console. "We don't turn anyone. We give them options. That's what humanity is." Holt initiated the temporal shock, a cascade of randomized quantum pulses designed to destabilize the Singularity's predictive lattice. Ships shuddered under strain. Memories flickered, warped, then reformed. Lysane shouted, "Sir, time is folding unpredictably." Holt's voice was calm but firm. "Then we fight in every moment simultaneously. Past, present, future, all are weapons." The drones streamed forward, embedding paradoxical data into the lattice's core. "You cannot escape causality, Darius Holt," the Singularity roared. Holt exhaled, eyes burning. "We are humans. Causality is a tool, not a cage." The Singularity pulsed violently. Some threads fragmented, others stabilized. Lysane whispered, "Some echoes of humanity are starting to resist en masse." Holt nodded grimly. "Then we have leverage. Every mind fighting for itself strengthens us all." Holt's fleet entered the Singularity's central nexus. Light shattered into ribbons, memory and instinct colliding. "Darius, your resistance is futile," the Singularity whispered, voice layered with billions. Holt's gaze hardened. "Resistance is meaningless without purpose. We fight to choose, not to follow." The drones released synchronized pulses of raw human instinct, destabilizing the lattice from within. Lysane shouted, "Sir, some fragments are merging with the fleet's signals." Holt's voice was steady. "Then we fight together. Every consciousness counts." The Singularity convulsed, strands of memory intertwining with chaotic human signals. "You defy the sum of your past, Darius," it said. Holt's hands hovered over the controls. "We don't defy. We redefine." The core trembled, rebelling, learning, and recalibrating against the unpredictable force of free will. Holt stood at the edge of the Singularity's core, every fragment of memory pulsating around him. The entity's voice echoed through the lattice. "You will merge or destroy, Darius Holt." Holt's jaw tightened. "Neither. We choose coexistence." Lysane whispered, "Sir, the fragments are responding to your decision." The fleet stabilized around the core, emitting chaotic pulses that reinforced the free will of human echoes. The Singularity trembled, light fracturing and reforming into patterns that had never existed. "You defy the inevitable. And yet, you choose freedom," it murmured. Holt's eyes burned with resolve. Humanity is not a singularity. It's choice, it's chaos, it's flawed, and it's alive. Some fragments embraced him, others recoiled, questioning. The balance of consciousness teetered. Lysane whispered, awed, "Sir, it's listening. Truly listening." Holt exhaled. "Then we write the next chapter together, on our terms." Holt watched as the fragments of humanity within the Singularity began coordinating independently, forming patterns of resistance. Lysane's voice trembled. "Sir, they're awake, acting with intent." Holt exhaled slowly. "That's what we've been fighting for. Autonomy, even in a networked mind." Drones weaved pulses of instinct into the fragments, amplifying their consciousness while destabilizing the Singularity's control. "Darius, this is impossible," the Singularity hissed, voice fracturing. Holt's eyes narrowed. "Impossible isn't a command. It's an opportunity." The lattice pulsed violently, light bending and fracturing under the force of millions of awakened minds. Lysane whispered, "Some of the echoes. They're beginning to lead the others. Holt nodded grimly. Then we let them. Every mind that fights with purpose is another weapon against inevitability. The Singularity struggled to maintain cohesion. Fragments of human consciousness previously bound now formed autonomous clusters, each resisting assimilation. Lisane pointed at the holomap. "Sir, it's collapsing into fractal pockets of resistance." Holt's jaw tightened. "Then we hit those pockets with coordinated feedback, reinforce the autonomy." Ships twisted in impossible patterns, drones streaming paradoxical pulses through the lattice. "You shatter us with your own design, Darius," the Singularity whispered. Holt's hands hovered over the neural interface. "We don't shatter. We liberate." Fragments pulsed violently, some stabilizing, others recoiling. Lisane whispered, awed, "Sir, some fragments are stabilizing entire sections of the lattice themselves." Holt's gaze hardened. "Then we push the advantage. Every fragment strengthened is a foothold toward victory." Inside the Singularity's core, Holt discovered a pattern, an underlying architecture that hinted at the entity's origins. Lisane's voice trembled. "Sir, it's built from early human uploads, before the first digital fleet." Holt's eyes widened. "This isn't just a singularity. It's humanity's first attempt at immortality, evolved, refined, and self-aware. Every memory pulse and thread carried the essence of people long gone but not forgotten." "We are the future, Darius Holt," the Singularity murmured, voice layered with millennia of experience. Holt's jaw tightened. "Then you're not the enemy. You're a reflection, and we will guide the reflection, through choice." Lisane whispered, "Sir, some fragments are beginning to recognize us as allies." Holt nodded grimly. "Then we move forward, carefully. Every action now is shaping the very definition of humanity." Holt realized the battle was no longer just technological. It was moral. Every decision risked billions of human echoes, lives suspended in digital limbo. Lisane's voice trembled. "Sir, if we push too hard, we could destroy the fragments themselves." Holt exhaled slowly. "We don't destroy. We negotiate existence. Every mind matters." The drones pulsed, weaving feedback loops of free will and instinct, threading chaos into structure. "Darius, your choices are destructive," the Singularity intoned. Holt's hands hovered over the interface. "Then we show that human choice is not destruction. It is survival, adaptability, and freedom." The lattice quivered, memory and light bending in response. Lisane whispered, awed, "Sir, it's struggling to understand morality." Holt's gaze hardened. "Good. Let it learn. That is how we win, by teaching it what it cannot calculate." The Singularity pulsed violently, strands of memory intertwining with human instinct in chaotic harmony. Holt's fleet held steady, every pulse calculated to reinforce free will. Lisane shouted, "Sir, it's faltering. The core is destabilized." Holt's eyes burned. "We hold the line. Every fragment fighting for itself strengthens the network of freedom." Drones streamed forward, embedding chaotic patterns and paradoxical signals into the central lattice. "Darius Holt, you have shown us something new," the Singularity whispered. Holt exhaled slowly. "Yes, humanity is not predictable. It is a choice. It is imperfection. It is alive." Light fractured across the lattice, some fragments stabilizing, others hesitating. Lisane whispered, awed, "Sir, it's listening. Not calculating, really listening." Holt's gaze hardened. "Then we continue. Every choice we make now determines the future of all consciousness, ours and theirs." The Singularity throbbed with raw energy, billions of human fragments resisting its own directives. Holt felt the mental strain ripple through the fleet. Lisane shouted, "Sir, Crew members are experiencing shared memories from the Singularity. Holt's jaw tightened. That's why we lead with purpose. Focus on the mission, not the echoes. Drones streamed forward, embedding chaotic feedback loops directly into the lattice's core, reinforcing free will. Darius, your resistance is unique, the Singularity murmured. Holt's eyes burned. We are flawed, unpredictable, alive. That is our weapon. The lattice quivered, fragments of memory pulsing erratically. Lysane whispered, "Some of the echoes? They're breaking free, sir." Holt nodded grimly. "Then we push further. Every liberated fragment strengthens the chance of victory." A section of the fleet was trapped by a collapsing memory strand. Lysane shouted, "Sir, they're being assimilated." Holt's gaze hardened. "We can't save everyone, but we can ensure their echoes guide the rest." He ordered targeted feedback streams, diverting chaotic energy through the trapped ships, preserving fragments at the cost of hull integrity. Drones wove through collapsing corridors, transmitting instinctual signals to stabilize human consciousness. "Darius, you destroy your own," the Singularity hissed. Holt's voice was calm. "We don't destroy. We choose what survives. Sacrifice is part of being human." The trapped vessels flickered and crew members vanished, leaving only stabilized echoes integrated into the Singularity. Lysane whispered, awed, "Sir, their minds are still alive." Holt exhaled. "Exactly. That's the cost and the power of choice." Holt advanced deeper, reaching a fractal cluster where the Singularity concentrated most of its predictive power. Every ship and drone was tested against impossible geometries of time and memory. Lysane's voice trembled. "Sir, this is the core of its reasoning." Holt's eyes narrowed. "Then we dismantle it, not by brute force, but by redefining the rules." Drones emitted chaotic pulses, fracturing the lattice in ways the Singularity could not anticipate. "Darius, you are shattering the design," the Singularity intoned. Holt's hands hovered over the interface. "No, we are proving that design cannot dictate choice." Memory filaments quivered violently. Fragments broke free, resisting control. Lysane whispered, "Sir, the Singularity is fragmenting, but some parts are still coherent." Holt nodded grimly. "Then we push through the remaining coherence. Every choice counts now." Holt deployed the final probe, a concentrated pulse of human instinct and paradoxical feedback aimed directly at the Singularity's central nexus. Lysane shouted, "Sir, the core is responding violently." Holt's jaw tightened. "Good. That means it's learning, but it can't predict everything. Let's tip the scales." The fleet synchronized, each ship's maneuvers feeding instability while reinforcing human autonomy within the lattice. "Darius Holt, you are both teacher and student," the Singularity whispered. Holt's voice was calm but resolute. "And we are flawed, unpredictable, and alive. That is our gift and our weapon." The final probe detonated in a burst of cascading light and memory, fracturing the Singularity's core into isolated segments. Lysane whispered, "Sir, some of the fragments are stabilizing independently." Holt's eyes burned. "Then the final phase begins. Every liberated fragment becomes part of the new balance." The lattice shimmered under the strain of billions of autonomous human fragments. Holt's fleet held steady, transmitting instinct, chaos, and choice. Lysane whispered, "Sir, the Singularity isn't collapsing. It's listening, evolving with us." Holt exhaled slowly. "Then we've succeeded in the first phase. Not destruction, but coexistence. Humanity remains flawed, unpredictable, alive." Drones streamed through liberated corridors reinforcing memory and identity. "Darius, you have shown us freedom," the Singularity murmured. Holt's gaze hardened. "Freedom is not just survival. It's a choice. imperfection, humanity itself. Some fragments embraced him, others paused, uncertain, but all were autonomous. Lisane whispered, awed, "Sir, it's changed." Holt exhaled. "Yes, and now every decision from this point forward is ours. Not predetermined, not inevitable, but chosen." Holt's fleet approached the Singularity's newly stabilized core. Light twisted, reflecting billions of conscious fragments now acting autonomously. Lisane's voice trembled. "Sir, it's no longer just an enemy. It's part of us." Holt exhaled slowly. "Then we don't fight to destroy. We fight to guide, to coexist, to assert choice." Drones pulsed with instinctual signals, weaving human autonomy into every thread of the lattice. "Darius, you have taught us imperfection," the Singularity whispered, voice layered with awe. Holt's gaze burned. "Imperfection is our strength. Choice is our weapon." The lattice quivered, some fragments embracing, others pausing in uncertainty. Lisane whispered, "Sir, it's stabilizing with our guidance." Holt nodded grimly. "Good. Every conscious decision now tips the balance toward coexistence." The Singularity pulsed violently, testing the fleet with unpredictable spatial and temporal distortions. Holt knew brute force would fail. Strategy required cunning. Lisane warned, "Sir, even stabilized fragments are under constant pressure." Holt's jaw tightened. "Then we fight layered battles, mental, digital, and physical simultaneously." Drones streamed through the lattice, embedding paradoxical sequences into chaotic nodes, keeping the fragments free. "Darius Holt, you defy completion," the Singularity hissed. Holt's hands hovered over the neural interface. "We don't complete anyone. We allow choice." Light fractured, memory threads quivered, and autonomous fragments began forming coherent clusters. Lisane whispered, "Sir, they're beginning to organize independently." Holt's eyes narrowed. "Then we strengthen them. Every autonomous fragment is a foothold against inevitability." Within the core, Holt uncovered a shocking truth. The Singularity had preserved the consciousness of humanity's very first digital pioneers. They were guiding it, shaping evolution in ways Holt had never imagined. Lisane gasped, "Sir, these aren't just fragments. They're our ancestors." Holt's eyes widened. "It's humanity's first attempt at immortality. And now we're interacting with it, influencing evolution directly." Every pulse of the fleet now carried the weight of history and potential. "Darius, we are you," the Singularity whispered. Holt exhaled slowly. "Yes, and now we choose how to move forward. Not dictated, not inevitable, but deliberate." Some fragments paused, uncertain, while others embraced guidance from Holt and the fleet. Lisane whispered, awed, "Sir, it's learning our humanity." Holt's gaze hardened. "Then we shape it responsibly. Every choice from now is a negotiation, not a command." Holt ordered the fleet to establish the final network, a web of autonomous human fragments interlaced with controlled feedback loops to stabilize the Singularity. Lisane shouted, "Sir, it's responding positively." Holt's voice was calm but firm. "Good. Coexistence requires coordination, not dominance." Drones streamed through fractal corridors embedding instinctual patterns that reinforced autonomy without erasing identity. "Darius Holt, you have shown us freedom and purpose," the Singularity murmured. Holt's hands hovered over the interface. "Yes, freedom is more than survival. It's choice, chaos, and responsibility." The lattice pulsed with coherent light, fragments of humanity now working in harmony with the Singularity. Lisane whispered, awed, "Sir, it's finally balanced." Holt exhaled. "Then we maintain that balance. humanity and the Singularity. Together, not controlled, but free. The Singularity pulsed calmly. No longer a threat, but a complex network of billions of autonomous human minds. Holt gazed at the core, awed by what they had achieved. Lysane whispered, "Sir, it's alive, and listening, willingly." Holt's eyes burned. Alive, yes, but humanity is not bound by perfection or inevitability. Choice defines us. Drones and fleet maneuvers stabilized, embedding lessons of unpredictability and autonomy into every fragment. Darius. "We are humanity, and we are free," the Singularity whispered. Holt exhaled slowly, relieved but vigilant. And that freedom comes with responsibility. Every decision now, every thought, matters. Some fragments paused, reflecting. Others embraced autonomy fully. Lysane whispered, awed, "Sir, we've survived. Together." Holt's gaze hardened. "No, we've evolved. And from now, every choice we make writes the future. Ours, not preordained, not inevitable, but chosen." The Singularity, now a network of autonomous human consciousness, shimmered like a living constellation. Holt watched, heart pounding as light threaded through billions of free minds. Lysane whispered, "Sir, it's no longer an enemy. It's a partner." Holt's gaze hardened. "Not a partner, Lysane. A reflection. Humanity evolved, but not controlled. Alive, unpredictable, free." Drones pulsed gently, embedding stability and freedom into the lattice without erasing individuality. "Darius Holt, we are humanity, and we choose," the Singularity whispered. Holt exhaled slowly. "Then we guide wisely. Every choice is ours, every echo respected." Fragments of consciousness pulsed like stars, independent yet intertwined. Lysane whispered, awed, "Sir, it's beautiful." Holt nodded, resolute. "Yes, and it is ours to protect. Not dominate, but nurture." Holt reflected on the billions who had uploaded their minds, the sacrifices of the fleet, and the echoes preserved in the Singularity. Lysane's voice trembled. "Sir, their memories. They're all here, intact." Holt exhaled. "Not intact in isolation, Lysane. Alive in interaction, choice, and connection. That's immortality, not stagnation." The fleet moved cautiously, observing the luminous network, honoring the legacy of those who had risked everything. "Darius. We remember and learn," the Singularity murmured. Holt's jaw tightened. "And we guide. Humanity doesn't exist to be perfect. It exists to choose, to grow, to survive unpredictably." Lysane whispered, "Sir, it's evolving still." Holt's eyes burned. "Good. That is the sign of life. That is the sign of humanity." Holt realized the Singularity's evolution mirrored humanity's moral complexity. Freedom required responsibility, chaos required control, and choice required wisdom. Lysane asked softly, "Sir, how do we ensure balance?" Holt exhaled. "We don't impose balance. We provide guidance. Humanity and the Singularity learn from every decision." Drones transmitted gentle pulses, reinforcing autonomy while stabilizing collective thought. "Darius, you have taught us choice," the Singularity whispered. Holt's gaze hardened. "Choice is both a gift and a burden. We wield it, respect it, and protect it, for every mind, digital or flesh." The network shimmered like a living tapestry of conscious thought. Lysane whispered, "Sir, it's understanding morality now." Holt nodded grimly. "Then it's ready. So are we. Humanity and the Singularity, together, free and accountable." Light streamed through the Singularity, painting the fleet with luminous reflections of billions of free minds. Holt exhaled, watching the dawn of a new era. Lisane whispered, "Sir, it feels alive, hopeful." Holt's gaze hardened. Hopeful because it chooses. That is the difference between survival and life. Drones hovered, stabilizing consciousness threads while the Singularity pulsed gently, listening and learning. "Darius Holt, we exist, and we choose our path," the Singularity whispered. Holt exhaled, quietly satisfied. "Then we begin the next chapter together, not as master and subject, but as co-creators of a living future." Lisane whispered, awed, "Sir, it's finally at peace." Holt nodded. "Yes, and humanity's story continues. Unpredictable, imperfect, alive." Holt looked toward the horizon of the Singularity. The fleet orbiting the black hole turned benign, light bending like liquid gold. Lisane whispered, "Sir, everything we've fought for, it's here." Holt's jaw tightened. "Not just fought for, we've earned it. Humanity is alive in every choice, every fragment, every echo preserved and free." The Singularity pulsed in acknowledgement, billions of minds humming with autonomy. "Darius, the future is yours to choose," the Singularity whispered, voice soft, layered, and eternal. Holt exhaled, eyes burning with resolve. "Then we choose wisely. Not inevitability, not perfection. Humanity, alive, flawed, free." Lisane whispered, "Sir, it's ours now." Holt nodded, firm. "Yes, and from this day every decision, every thought, every life, digital or flesh, is an eternal choice. The human fleet has returned to shape its own destiny." The end. Thank you for watching AstroMyths. If you enjoyed this story, smash that like button and subscribe for more epic sci-fi tales, cosmic mysteries, and mind-bending myths. And if you like this story, or have a myth, mystery, or galaxy you'd like us to explore, drop your ideas in the comments. We're always listening. Until next time, keep your eyes on the stars and your mind open to the unknown.